In 2005, Hurricane Katrina destroyed the city of New Orleans. 250,000 homes were flooded and underwater. Schools were shut down. It looked as though the city was gone, as were its traditions, such as Mardi Gras. But in 2006, 6 months to the day since Katrina hit, a city that was still on her knees put on a scaled-back Mardi Gras to show the world that New Orleans was gonna live. It was a coming together. It was communal. It was New Orleans.
Mardi Gras after Katrina 2006 was something that everyone felt was not going to happen.
Our neighborhoods were destroyed and people's souls were just ripped out because of it, because we are really a neighborhood city.
As we were allowed to come back, we encountered a lot of reality. 80% of the city had been underwater.
I never went back to mine.
Did you want to go back?
No, I mean, it was like 15 feet of water for all those days with all that stuff that was in that water. And the house was like mildew and mold and all that. I did not want to go back. I didn't want nothing out of it.
It was like footage from a third world disaster, the way people were kind of struggling to survive at that time. But
many of our local people suffered immeasurable damage as a result of the hurricane. They either, lost a loved one, or they lost their house or everything they owned.
The feeling that they would have after losing homes and businesses, and to go and have this celebration, but you need something to bring you up. You need to go back into tradition to just escape for a night.
There's no better thing to bring this city back to life and than an expression of pure spirit, which is exactly what that is.
The decision about whether to have Carnival that first year was a very difficult one.
And so there was a lot of thought about whether that was the financially responsible thing to do, to take money that people needed for repairs and other things and spend it on a Mardi Gras parade, and whether it was too frivolous, and whether...
Here's a city with 250,000 homes destroyed, and literally the police force on its back, and city employees without jobs, and school teachers without a place to teach. So the question is, how can you afford a celebration? Our question is, how can you afford to keep crying?
And of course it was smaller and thinner, but it was beautiful because the people who needed to be there were there.
Overwhelmingly, people said, I don't care if I have no money at all from starving. I want to have that parade.
We had enough damage from Katrina. We didn't have to lose Mardi Gras too.
Families and kids and the people of New Orleans look forward to that time of year. And that time of year is filled with these celebrations and these parades. So to have not gone through with it, the gap would have been so intense, and I think it would have been far more painful for people to focus on how they've fallen rather than, no, we're alive and our spirit is alive and well, and that spirit can't be sort of extinguished.
The citizens in the Carnival community made the decision that this show must go on. I remember someone wrote, for our ancestors and our grandchildren, we need to do this.
It was quiet, and people were afraid to come down, but the families were there, and they were very appreciative that the parade was going. It was a little sad, but we fought through the sadness, and we went to the convention center, and we had the ball, and Danny and I, we did the Blues Brothers for them, and everyone was in their gowns, and everybody there was determined not to let anything bother them. It turned out to be a great night.
I think one of the very special things about that first Carnival after Katrina was how many people came from the places they'd been dispersed. They didn't have a home here anymore, but this was home. They wanted to be here for that occasion, and what one heard over and over again on the parade route was how thankful they were. It was an absolutely beautiful day, that first post-Katrina Carnival. People were so grateful to be home for that event at Mardi Gras. There weren't a lot of visitors here. This was for us, and it was very important. It was a beautiful sunny day and part of the rebirth of this city.
But I think it made people sit back and take a good hard look at what was saving about this city, and Mardi Gras celebration was certainly one of them, and not as a tourist attraction, but as a bonding, as a community. It's like, this is who we are. A lot of people said, we need to do this. This is for us. This is not, who cares if any tourists come or not? This one's for us. It's what we do. If the tourists come, that's fine, and that's all well and dandy, but we're going to do it anyway.
You know, so like if you have a family member that gets sick and you're not there all the time, but you're praying, and then you hear a little victory. Oh, they're moving around, or they're doing, oh, good. And that was a relief to the rest of America, so it's not constantly just so sad about what happened in New Orleans. Oh, they're kind of getting back up. They're having Mardi Gras. You know what? They're going to be back. And we kind of need that. We need to be comforted sometimes because it's such a tragedy.
And they said, what part of your city are you going to rebuild? And I said, all of it. And he said, that's impossible. Have you seen your city? Do you know it's 80% underwater? I said, absolutely. He said, how are you going to rebuild it? I said, the spirit of New Orleans is not underwater.
It is a celebration in which every float is just literally pelting you with stuff. I mean, it's just like here. That's Mardi Gras to me. And that spirit had to be demonstrated in the wake of that catastrophe.
That was a moment in time where they said, yeah, are we going to stay or are we going to go? And they said, we're going to stay. And that means all of us are going to stay. The Mardi Gras is going to stay. And it's not going to be the same. It's going to be, they were challenged that year, and the size of everything wasn't the same. But look at 2007. And it's continued to get better and better ever since. And you got to believe, whether you agree with it or not, you really have to respect that spirit.
Yeah.
When you saw through all that muck and you saw these beautiful feathers coming down the street, gold and green and purple and blue, and it was just, something beautiful in all that muck, and you just, knew that our city was going to be okay.
For people from New Orleans who were missing home and they just wanted to have something that would remind them that home is something to look forward to, like, oh, we can use this to rebuild, or we can use this to think about rebuilding. It was important for that particular reason, but for the outside world, it was just another Tuesday to them.
People really don't know what they have until it's threatened, until you can possibly lose it, and we really almost lost it.
We were very lucky because we had a nation that was as much in love with New Orleans as we ourselves were that lived here, and they've never stopped helping us, and we're very grateful for it.
It's a sign that we're not going anywhere. Come wipe us out. Come wipe us out.
We're not going to let a little hurricane stop our party.
We just tried to do everything we could to provide them a way home, knowing that the music would lead us all back, and it did.
It's so wonderful to see New Orleans back and alive and colorful, filled with music and success again. It needs to be that way, and it is that way.
I'll always love you and make you happy. If you could only say the same. But if you leave me to love another, will you regret it all someday? You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never